Hi guys, hope you're well. Welcome to anyone that hasn't seen the live stream before. Basically, my name is Steve Pugh, and this is the Growth Strategy podcast and live stream. And what I tried to do and what I started during lockdown was to basically, it's an excuse to talk to interesting people that have got their own kind of story to tell, really kind of explore their own businesses. But what I was very keen to do was just talk to people that I think will add genuine value to your business or career. We'll have some fun as we kind of go through it as well. And then hopefully over the next kind of 30, 40 minutes, we discuss different topics and just basically have fun. And then this live stream goes live on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and a few others. And then Instagram as well for the first time. And then the podcast, which all gets clipped up, goes onto iTunes and Spotify and stuff as well. And what we're trying to do is just spread a good positive message about the northeast of England, share the stories of some really interesting people. And today is no different. So because he's coughed, I'm going to bring him in. And then 1 second.
I thought I'd muted that.
So Matt, would you like to say hi to everyone?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Matt. Nice to not see you all, but I'm sure I'll hear from you all.
So how does it feel to be one of the most popular men on Teesside?
Man, flattery gets you everywhere, Steve. You know.
But no, seriously, how's life? Because I haven't seen you in person
life
for a
is
while.
good. I've been asked the question a lot, obviously, as everyone has. How's COVID been? I have a young daughter. She doesn't feel as young anymore. She already refuses my kisses, so she's not that young. She's 18 months, so it's been a blessing to spend a bit more time with her at home, finish work at time, be able to kind of adapt your day so that I can do things with her. So, for me, personally, it's been good. However, I always like to balance that with, people have lost their lives through this pandemic, and it's I don't really like it when people say, it's been amazing for us. We've done, just tailor that to your audience and understand that it's still been a very, very difficult challenge. And I like to think that I see all avenues. I work for a very, very large business. My partner has a very, very small business. And they've both had challenges, and I'm sure we'll discuss them as we go through.
No, cool. But I must admit, you must be used to women rejecting your kisses. You've had that for many years.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to deny it. But no, it's good.
So I only interview people that I know, because it's one of my things. I think you can't fake genuine kind of banter. And I know you commented on Spicy P, who was one of my previous guests. So Peter, who runs his spice trading business.
Quality guy. What a guy.
I always like to kind of go into the backstory about how we know each other. And one of the things which I kind of wanted to share, actually, because I think it's quite nice that I remember used to play golf a little bit together, very badly, but we used to play.
Well, speak for yourself.
And I remember you're going back about 8 or 9 years, and we just finished the first hole at Wynyard, and I shot a 5 and you shot a 4, and you were saying, and I might got my years wrong, you were thinking about moving on from the chamber, and I recently moved from the LEP to Nortec, who had the golf membership, and it was one of those things that, in hindsight, when you look back at that point, you were trying to figure out what do I do next. I've got different passions, there's things I want to do. And actually, I was thinking about this when I was kind of preparing for the interview. I was like, oh, I'm quite proud of him, just, because we've all been on our different kind of journey. But actually, I think you've got a really good kind of story to tell. And it was just when I kind of went back, and then how else we know each other is that Matt is famous for networking, arguably more than anyone. Big guy who's actually taller than I am, but anyway. And it was just... but he's a really kind of top guy. But I won't ruin your story. So would you like to tell people like who you are, where you're from, very Cilla Black kind of style?
Yeah, well, I always said, my name is Matthew and I'm from Middlesbrough. I don't live in Middlesbrough anymore, so I can't use that.
You've gone posh.
I settled down is what I call it, and had to start spending some of my money, so I live in Stockton now. Not that it's better than Middlesbrough, by the way, just for the audience there. And I always said being from Middlesbrough is a bit like having an ugly sister. I can say what I want about Middlesbrough because I live there, but if you say something bad, I'm going to thump you.
I'm from Liverpool, so I'm not judging anyone.
Yeah. I love Middlesbrough. I love the people. I love the town. I love everything about it, and being there still feels like home for me. So born and bred in Middlesbrough. Started life in Winniebanks. Dad got a pay rise at the gas board. We could afford to move over the road from Winniebanks into Linthorpe, which wasn't much of a change. And then, I started work. I started work at 15, worked in what was, and this will cue everyone to sing a song. It worked at South Cleveland Garages. And if you know the song, you can tweet me or send me a message on LinkedIn. My mum worked there, so I cleaned cars. And I cleaned cars because my brothers are older than me and their friends are older than me. And they were going to places like Flamingo Land during the 6 weeks holidays, and I couldn't afford to. So I had to find a way that I could earn a couple of quid. I didn't know I'd be working 6 days a week scrubbing cars. So that's where I started off, cleaning cars, and I understood about business and providing customer service. And then I think I had the 6 weeks off, and Mum gave me 10 bob and said, go to town and don't come back without a job. And very coincidentally, the first building I walked into was outside the Henry Balco statue in the Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. And I remember walking in and just looking at this lady who seemed about 400 years old. And I said, excuse me, love, do you do jobs? And she went, no, we don't, no. And she didn't say we do apprenticeships or we do training. She said, no, we don't. So I kind of got a bit nervous, as I am obviously a very nervous guy. And I left. And I think it was 27 pence on the bus. So I'd only had 50 pence. So I remember walking to this guy and saying, oh, you couldn't give me or lend, well, can you give me 5 pence because I need to get the bus home? And this is maybe when you look back and you think about things, this is maybe like a bit of a turning point. He said, oh, yeah, I can do something. So I told him the story. He said, oh, well, my wife runs the multi-purpose training centre in that corner, which is now Teesside Archives or something a bit cooler now. And he said, go and speak to her. She's called Jill and she'll try and help you with whatever it is you're looking to do. And I had nothing. I left school with fairly average GCSEs. Remember them, GCSEs? We sound like the old ones now.
Nephew got his the other day and it was all grade 9s and grade 8s. Numbers. And I had to Google to figure out what it was.
Yeah, I'd have been around a 6, maybe a 7 at a push. I walked in and this lady, I'll never forget it. You know, when you're a child and you step, she had quite a severe cleft palate. And I was like so amazed by this because being a young guy from Middlesbrough, never having really gone out of the town that much, we never could afford to travel as a family and we never really had holidays. I'd only ever seen my close friends and family. And she took me on the first floor. It was administrative duties and it was literally typewriters. I'm giving away my age now. And I said, oh, I don't think that's for me. No, I'm not very good with that. And the second floor was like young guys who looked like they would have tattoos. And they were doing joinery and saying, all right, mate. And so I was like, oh, I'm not. Anyway, long story short, the third floor was catering. And there was a lot of ladies in there and there was a lot of cake and 2 things I dearly love. And I decided I was going to be a chef. And I went to work in a restaurant, but they couldn't give me a job as a chef. I could only be a waiter. So I just said, yeah, I'll take it. And it was in the village. And I walked to, and it was Kel's restaurant, still there now. And I started working there, and I'll try and cut a long career fairly short. I won't give you War and Peace. I'd worked in the restaurant for a couple of years, and it was nice. And I didn't really have any aspirations to do anything else. I was just mulling away. And a guy who I still speak to today, in fact, I saw last week, said to me, you know what, you'd be great in my gym. You've got great people skills. Do you want to come and work as a fitness instructor? Having never been in the gym, I was like, no, you're all right. He said, oh, look, you can get a bus from Middlesbrough to Stockton. And then to Yarm, and you can be there every day, and I can give you £80 a week, which was mega bucks back then. I was like, wow. So off I went. I became a fitness instructor, got myself healthy, had some clients. It was called Yarm Fitness World. It was run by a guy called Mike Flanagan and his brother Sean. And what an amazing place to be. Yarm as an 18-year-old guy and as a fitness instructor. And I think that's where my confidence grew. I was used to chatting to people. And yeah, it was a real comfort zone. The gym got into trouble through crisis and various different reasons. And I went to work in a call centre at Churchill Insurance. And again, people, speaking to people, talking, you get the theme run through this. Mm-hmm. Did really well. I look back now and think, God, we earned some really good money sat on our backsides in a call centre. Good people culture, great business to work for, got taken over by... I think they're owned by Credit Suisse and then got taken over by Direct Line's owner. And things started to change and I decided I wanted to change with it. And I went and sold foreign property in Bulgaria and Cyprus, which again sounds really cool, doesn't it? Far from it. A lot of language issues, a lot of expats potentially being ripped off. Didn't sort of sit comfortable with me. And after 6 months, I kind of stopped doing that and went and worked for a company that many might know called Equity House Own and Save. So I remember the right to buy that Margaret Thatcher introduced. So I had a team of staff knocking doors and trying to convince people in council estates that it was better to buy and own the house than it was to pay the rent. A relatively successful sort of scheme that's seen a lot of people now own the home and accelerate that home on a ladder. So yeah, that was again 2002. I think the market's got a difficulty. We had 110 staff. I was, apart from family members, I was probably one of the last staff there. And then I was made redundant. And at this point, I really kind of got into a pit of kind of, oh God, what am I going to do? And who's here to help me? And no real father figure in the life at the time. Parents were divorced. Mum worked 4 jobs. I was still living at home. Things were tough, and you can't go along in our family without a job. So off I went, recruitment agencies and God knows whatever else. And so we're going back probably near enough 20 years now. And at this point, I decided that whilst I wanted to be in sales, I didn't want to be a salesperson. I didn't want to knock doors. I didn't want to badger people. I didn't want to do it the wrong way. So I started to learn about kind of the psychology in sales and how people get befriended, and actually read a lot into, and this sounds really bad, into sort of con artists and how they, which is a multi-billion pound business, and how they would persuade people with suggestions and the way. So anyway, I then went and I worked for a great business in Stokesay called, it was part of the MMC group, the McCullough family. 3 brothers, fantastic people, all had their own individual businesses. And I worked for Tim McCullough, who taught me an awful lot about business, allowed me to see the insides of a business, so understand how they work, how their finances would, how they'd have to gamble a little bit almost to make some money. And I worked for them for probably 2.5 to 3 years, and it was a real blessing, a good fun job. We got to travel quite a bit. We went to Vegas. We had some good times, and we sold some good products. It ended up being bought up by a bigger business in America. And then I went into recruitment, which is probably around the time that we kind of met, because I worked in recruitment before I went to the chamber for manpower. And I absolutely hated every minute of it. Every minute of that job I hated, apart from a guy called Matthew Bennett who I worked with who I still keep in touch with now. He was a great guy, so much fun we had. And we had to have fun because the market was terrible. The automotive crash had happened. I was trying to sell mechanics in Middlesbrough. It was desperate times, but fun times. Ultimately, that branch shut, and I was again on the hunt. LinkedIn was becoming a thing. About then wasn't what it was. It was just for recruiters, I think, at the time. And I posted on there saying I was looking and would anybody be interested in this dodgy bloke from Middlesbrough to come and do something with them. And it was actually Joe Hand that got me the job. And many of you know Joe Hand. I still keep in touch with her now. And, it was difficult. And I actually accepted the job at a company in Stokesay. And Joe rang me and said, "Oh, it's a great job going to the Chamber of Commerce, Matt. I think you'd be perfect for it." And she didn't have a lot of details at the time. It was kind of like, "Well, I can go. I'm there today, but I'm just in jeans and a t-shirt. Would that be kind of acceptable?" And I went in and did the interview, and I just said, "Can you offer me the job? Can I have the job? I think I'd be great at it." And just looked her dead in the eyes. And Julie Underwood, I remember her looking at me thinking, "Wow." And afterwards, she said, "I would offer you the job now, but I've got to go through a HR process." And still really that kind of cheeky kind of guy that would ask questions that no one else would ask, but in a way, a bit like Louis Theroux, in a way that I got away with it, in a way that was kind of just me and nobody took offense from it. And I got the job, and I was delighted. I was really proud to work for the Chamber of Commerce, and I had 5 really, really good years there. We started from nothing in terms of what I was doing, and we were looking for the region's exporters. So people in the Northeast who were moving goods, physically moving goods. So there was always a playoff between the digital sector who said, "We're exporting." And we said, "Well, you are, yeah, but not the same as these guys. They've got to look at Incoterms, commodity codes, they're dealing on letters of credit. They've got to physically move the goods. It's a different kind of game." And I absolutely loved it. And I think I thrived there. I was, James Ramsbotham was a real good friend to me now and was then, and gave me the backing just to go out and do it. And I think he believed in me. He knew I could do it, and we knocked the socks off it. And it got to the point where that's where we met. And you were saying, "Well, how do you do this networking, Matt?" I said, "Well, you've got to understand, I'm practically paid to network. This is my full-time job. you've got a job to do and you've got a network. So it was very different from, and I think at the time, Emily Bentley and I had just kind of met. And we were, I don't want to say it myself, but people have said it, that we were like the most prolific networkers in the region.
I remember I said that to you because basically when was it? It was when, so I was at Nortec, if you fast forward a few years, and what I'm very good at is learning, and I watch and I see who does what and that kind of thing. I remember, I think I actually told you both, like I'm very good online and doing certain things, but you and Emily Bentley, and actually Emily's a guest in 2 weeks, I think. But anyway, but actually you two were and probably still are the best in-person networkers I'd ever seen. So I was genuinely kind of watching what you did, how you did it, what your approach was. And it's, again, because you're both very natural, I think is the difference between people that don't like doing it. But can I also say that was the single longest monologue I've ever had in 26 interviews.
Yes.
Where you just didn't stop talking. But again, it's fun, but you've got a good story to tell. And just
finished.
But on the point when you were going back, if you remember when you were telling me about school, and part of the reason why I wanted to do this and do it in different ways is because you have lots of different people from different backgrounds who are from the Northeast, that they might not always have visibility on successful business people that come from the same place they do. Does that make sense? Yeah, so absolutely. There'll be people from 2 weeks ago who got GCSE results, which maybe they're not happy with. And they might think, oh, what I'm going to do now. As we're actually, there's a very vague chance, oh, actually, there's that Matt guy and he did that and he did this, and I can talk to people. And that's one of the reasons why I'm always keen to kind of share people's real story, because actually there are people that need to hear it.
100%. I mean, I'm big with careers at the moment. I do some stuff with the leadership and advisory board at Stockton Riverside in terms of logistics. I'm just about to start with Egglescliffe Comp as a governor there, because my advice is totally different. And sometimes the schools don't want to hear it, but you don't have to be good at everything. You know, and I can look at a kid of 14, 15-year-old and say, you know, you would be great at this, and actually try and harness that rather than worrying about the really, really intelligent kid who's got straight A's or whatever they call them now, 10. And I think that can help with their kind of life path, for want of a better word. Just saying, don't worry, you know, it didn't come to me until I got to maybe late 20s. I didn't actually know what I wanted to do. So don't try and worry. I didn't do great at school, but I always had the ability to talk to people, to open doors and to engage. But
that's what your, well, obviously just one of your strengths is. So like my nephew that I mentioned got like straight A's kind of thing, but all he does is play Minecraft. And now I'm thinking, I said to them, okay, yeah, but you need to get into the real world, get yourself into some trouble. And it's just, and actually with my wife, because we're both working class background, we genuinely talk about how different schools teach you different things. So now that you're all rich and famous, I'm sure your kids might go to private school. But even if they do or they don't, my take on it was almost that if you send your kids to private school, please disagree in the chat if you disagree, you have a higher percentage chance of getting higher grades. I think that's what you get in private school, but you're probably less likely to learn what I class as real world skills, where people get into scrapes, they get into trouble, how you deal with people, how not to grass people up. And it's those kind of things which actually, once you've 4 or 5 years into your career, you've got your technical skill, it's your people skills and your ability to talk to people is actually what will probably see people go to different levels. So I think there's definitely pros and cons for different kind of paths in life.
Yeah, I don't want to say I favour one or the other, but you know, Nancy won't be going to a private school, and that isn't because I don't agree with private schools, because it's bloody expensive. I'm joking, but you know, I've got people we work with. I've got young people and old people that have got private school, people who've got a normal schools, and you're right, they've just got different skill sets. They're just different types of people, and you need that in business. You know, we're going through a bit of a culture change, and we're looking to kind of invest in our people more. And I love all that. I love it all because I've got both sides of the story to kind of share and look at. You know, you go from, you know, working with guys in a warehouse at LV to working with people like James Ramsworth, and you've got to, and I've always been able to speak to both. I haven't tailored it. It's just how it's come out, and they've happened to kind of like it in a way. So I get most out of them. But yeah, I just love being around people and understanding other people and getting their story. And I always found one of the best non-sales things I ever did was, I'd go to a business and I'd say, when we're finished, would you mind showing me around? Everybody they love their business. It's their child, isn't it? And it was often the clincher, you know, especially when I was doing the chamber thing. I was asking for a very small amount of money, £12.50 a week, to give them all this advice. And it wouldn't be what I said that would sell it. It would be what I did after and said, could I have a look around? They would go, oh, let me show you.
Yeah.
You'd be looking through windows, I'd be showing you the CRM systems and the staff. And I enjoyed it too, because I'm quite nosy, naturally.
So would you like to tell people about LV Shipping? Just, a bit of context and stuff so we can, as a seamless segue, move through the interview.
Oh, it felt seamless. I'm a company ambassador for LV Shipping. I'm very proud of the role I've got. I'm very proud of the business I work for.
Can I just grab you on that one sec? What is it?
Yeah.
What does it mean? Everyone wants to know.
I can't tell you. It's top secret. I mean, I could tell you, but then I have to go around and nuke a few people. It's effectively, I'm the eyes and ears of the business. So we have 13 offices in the UK and we have 33 around the world. We're a big firm, but we're still family owned, so Dutch owned. I still say headquarters is Middlesbrough, but I get told off for that. But we employ the most people there. That's where a lot of the project activities go on. So we're a transport and shipping company. That's what we do. We move things from A to B. We get involved with large oil and gas projects, offshore wind projects. So we've got large laydown areas, large offshore areas, large warehousing. Anything that needs to move, we move. Having said that, I've been with the business just over 3 years now, and for the last, for probably 75% of my job has been to help grow a business called LV Wallenbeck, which is an LV-owned business in Jarrow, just past Tesco's roundabout. And we've taken that business from maybe a bit of a concern to the business to a decent, profitable business, 1.9 million to about 4.4,
wow.
40-ish staff to about 70 staff. And we're just about to go through a transition with the business where we implement new CRM systems, we become more efficient, and we make more profit, because at the end of the day, that's what really matters. It's no good going from £1 to £40 if you're still only making 20 pence.
Yeah.
So we've gone through that. We've got the growth, we've got the back, and we've got the big clients. We now need to we need to be more sustainable and more profitable. So it's exciting. I've done some of the work in the background in terms of sales, but the next stage is the bit I want to learn about and the bit I want to sort of shadow someone on, so I can further develop myself. So yeah, LV Shipping, huge company. If you need something shipping, just get in touch. I can move anything, I promise you. And I think they've employed me because there's one of the things they always say is that we like to move big, ugly stuff. Not sure if that's a reference because I'm big and ugly. So again, the viewers,
it works.
Do with water? I don't know. I can't be cute. Watch. So yeah, LV Shipping, we're a large business, but LV Wallenbeck in Jarrow, we make export packing cases. So it looks to you like timber boxes, timber cases. We work with some of the biggest businesses in the region, generally all northeast. So if anyone needs any of that, all bespoke. So we fit boxes around your products to make sure they get there safely and without being damaged.
So with this being a business strategy podcast and show and stuff,
yeah,
the business itself, I know you've been there for 3 years. So did it start as a logistics business and then in time you added on extra pieces?
Yeah, pretty much. So 100 years ago next year, yes, 100 years next year, we started off with a horse and cart. Now that sounds like a lot of books, doesn't it? Horse and cart. No, you didn't.
But I think
we genuinely did.
A.V. Dawson was similar, similar. It's a great story. But carry on. Sorry, I don't know if they're a competitor or not.
And I love Gary and Charlie Nettle, so I'm not having a go at you, but we started before you. All right. So yeah, we horse and cart, and we just developed through that. We were delivering goods, and let's be honest, it hasn't changed an awful lot. We now use vehicles. But actually, there's still a bit of paper that says, you don't own that, he does. And actually, when you go to our offices, it's still quite heavily paper-based. So we're in a digital era, but actually, a lot of our businesses, I know the transport business, is still very much analog. That is massively changing. That's one of the biggest challenges we've got. Digitalization, this I won't profess to know a lot about, but printable electronics. So you can stick it to your goods and fly a drone over. It tells you everywhere that everything is. It can detect whether light has got into a container, the damage, the type. So yes, we're going to go through a massive transition in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, who knows? But yeah, it's exciting, a real exciting time to be at LV, and they've handled, and I'm sure you'll ask me, but they've handled the COVID situation tremendously well. And the chairman of the whole company is actually from Middlesbrough, well, actually lives in Yarm. All credit to them for handling it the way they've done, because we are not a business that make redundancies. We are a business that look after families. We're a business that keep people employed, and we've been like that ever since we started. But Yes, Marathon Oil back in the 80s, that was a big one for us. We won that contract. And yeah, you're right, exactly what you said. We've bolted things on. We've bought new facilities in Wilton. We've just taken another facility at Wilton. We've got our offices on PD Portsland at Tees Commerce Park.
Mm-hmm.
We've got Telford Road. We run a pallet network. You name it. If it's moving and it's in around them things, we're looking at bonded warehouses. Everything comes. And we have some brilliant staff that are very well versed on things like letters of credit, helping our customers holding their hands through what can be quite a tricky export or import process.
Because I think that's the big thing that for anyone, myself, you, whoever, who runs their own business, it's the big thing to really look at is what pain points do your customers have? What challenges do they have? And how can you solve them? Because yes, you can still move the stuff via horse and cart from one place, but actually who packs it up? Who does that? Who does the paperwork? And it's a very clever way to gradually build and grow a business. And actually, in theory, it makes you more secure, gives you more different revenue streams. And I know Valenbeck is a great example, because when I was at Bignor, I think we came in and had a chat, and I think you guys used to do some stuff with Tecma. But again, it's great to see people adapt in the marketplace and grow. And it's just as a general businessy type story, I think it's really good.
It is a good story. It's one that I like to hang my hat on because it's a nice, easy one to tell. Yeah. You've got visuals, you've got numbers, and it's easy to do. But yeah, it's going to get better, but it's already a good business.
So can we discuss COVID? I know you kind of touched on it.
Yeah.
The almost, it can be about, not about customers, but general trends almost what was work like before, and did it change? Was there a slowdown of the custom rules? And actually, I'm going to throw it now because it's probably the same topic. Has Brexit played a part? Because obviously that's still a transition coming up. I can see you shaking your head, but just from a politics-free position, but just on the practicalities of what the changes are and what they mean to business.
So yeah, I'll come on to Brexit, but COVID. Prior to COVID, our business was run very well. I wouldn't say amazing. We can always do better, but we were quite happy. Directors would have been happy. FD would have been happy. That kind of stuff. Around about end of February, start of March, obviously we started to see some rumblings in China. I think we probably did what everyone else did and waited to see how bad it got. March came, and probably towards the end of March, we started saying, okay, we need to start looking at how this home working situation might occur. April come, we started looking at furlough, and actually we had an option where our staff could volunteer for this. And for me, people might see this different, but they're the real heroes, the people that come in and said, I'm willing to take a reduction in what I get paid for this business for the long-term good. And really, I think the people that are at work thought they were the ones, I'm here because I'm driving things forward. But there's a balance here. Mm-hmm. There's a big balance to be had that actually without them people volunteering to do this, we don't have a sustainable business. So we just did it simple. We needed to keep in between red and amber and not go to red. Between green and amber and not go to red. And we, as a business, successfully did that. It wasn't easy. And we've had to rely on some very intelligent people, smarter than me, to make sure we did that. April was actually one of our best months on record, which sounds mad, but if you imagine logistics, as a crisis hit, mm-hmm. people are going, well, I don't want to be stuck with these goods. I don't want these in my warehouse. So all of a sudden, everyone's going, can you get these out? Can you get this? So our storage just went through the roof. Our logistics went crazier than ever. And we realized it was a bit of a false economy. So let's not get excited and pretend this is what it's going to be like. But we also, again, from our chairman, he said, now is the time we need to look at opportunities, widen our horizons, look at everything, consider everything, be savvy and actually be financially sensible. So don't take on new customers of a high risk. So just, I think, what everyone else did, but nice to have that leadership from the top coming down over telling you this is what you need to, because these are the times where you needed communication. You needed people to lead.
Jump in on that point?
Yeah, go on.
What do you feel that your company did really well? As in, was it the fact? So, like from early doors, did they grab a hold of it and say, "Look, guys, this is where we're at. We think we should do this." Just kind of talk me through it.
So I wasn't involved in it, but actually we had a leadership team, which was from all over the world that spoke every morning. I think it was 10 o'clock, whatever time worked for the whole of the world. Sometimes it was earlier. That they would just come on and say, look, this is where we're at, this is what's happening, these are the trends we're seeing. Obviously, we've got offices in the Middle East, they pretty much stopped dead. Major projects they never said that they were cancelled, but they just went on hold mm-hmm. almost instantaneously. But then our Singapore office, doing brilliant. Brazil office doing brilliant. Local offices outperforming, statistics from years gone by. So they did that, and then they would then put like a newsletter or a communication. This is what's happening. Our sales team are out in force because now is the time we need to engage with our customers, now supply chain. And they were just quite honest and open. So I said earlier about communication, we did it really well. And it was important for our customers. They didn't want to ring us and find that we weren't able to provide them with what they needed. So, yeah.
Because when you said before about almost,
I was proud to be where we were, and I think, like I said, I'd love to sit here and go, we did brilliant. It was a massive profit maker there, but actually, I think looking back, I'd say we did okay on balance because you've still got staff, a couple of staff furloughed, and obviously we'd like to be more profitable, but it's not always the case.
But just still being in business, is a big win. And I remember for some of the companies that I look after, I remember the day it all started to kick off, and we were trying to figure out, what is it? How does it work? What's this furlough thing? Weekly calls with different people. And it was just, again, it's how we take the learnings from it. And then next time this happens, because there will be another time, we all know, okay, actually strong, decisive leadership on communication, even if it's a case of, look, we don't know what to do, but we think about doing this. And at least you're given something, as opposed to it's when people go quiet, because then you also have the issue on, are your suppliers still trading? And if they shut the doors, how does it work? And for one of the companies I support, we still had an offshore installation project go ahead offshore. So we started to make stuff whilst everyone else was shut down and some of our suppliers had shut down. And it was just constantly trying to learn and adapt. And I think it's always good to kind of, anyway.
Yeah, so we had Wallenbeck, which sustained fairly well. We had LV that sustained pretty much fairly well. Obviously, my partner's got a business, a florist, which was shut down on day one. And very quickly, I was at home having tea, reading about furlough, trying to help understand how you claim the money back. And it was my life. Obviously, many people know Bill Scott and Wilton Engineering, which is Catherine's dad's business. So I got it from 4 or 5 different angles. I had a manufacturing business in Jarrow, Wallenbeck, a shipping business, a small florist, and a big engineering company. And together, we all just got together, tried to understand it the best we did. And I think what I did take a lot from was a little group of people from, it's called the Young Guns. Mm-hmm. And Martin Pullen pulled together a group of people, business people, bankers, financiers, people who run in business strategy type things. And it was brilliant to just have them people on a call once a week for an hour and pick the brains. And I think we did what I've liked certain aspects of this. Mm-hmm. I've liked spending more time with family and playing board games. Not being able to go out has meant that we've had to spend more time talking. And I think we've gone back to some old-fashioned values, which is nice. And I hope that if one good thing comes of it, it's that we appreciate things a bit better and we become nicer people, dare I say.
Do you mind, because we touched on it, obviously your missus, the business, mm-hmm. almost what is it you like about business? And almost, it's the different challenges that different people face, but I know you and Bill get involved a little bit. I don't know if you just want to kind of talk about it.
We're Teesside's worst paid flower boys, I think. So we got, I used to, obviously with Nancy now, with Catherine being at work, I'm here with Nancy. So it's pretty much left to Bill and Liz and the rest of the family to chip in and deliver the flowers now. But yeah, I mean, my garage is like a florist. There's flowers all over the house. It's business 24/7 for us. It doesn't stop. So I'm at work and Catherine respects that. And then when I come home, when I can, I help out where I can. But floristry is a very, very, very tough business. I can't underestimate that. It's phenomenally tough.
No, I was going to say, because as sad as it sounds, when me and my wife, because we don't have kids, we don't really have any other hobbies and stuff. When we walk into Newcastle to get a coffee on weekends, we just talk about stuff, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And we talk about floristry actually because you have a perishable good, so therefore it's very time bound, and it's a very difficult business to run. So I especially applaud anyone that does, because there's a lot that can go wrong. So
I'm immensely proud of Catherine, how hard she works, and her sister. They're putting in 15, 16-hour days. And I mean, people walk in that shop and go, oh, I'd love to work in a florist's. No, you wouldn't. It's freezing cold. You smell like flowers. Your fingers are always green. You've got hands like a welder. I shouldn't have said that, should I? She might listen, but yeah. I'm immensely proud. And then it's obviously we're bringing up a small child at the moment and the balance of that. So there's a lot that's happened in this period that I'm really pleased with. And really proud of, and that I'll carry with me for the rest of my days.
Oh, awesome. So I'm very conscious of time. One of the questions that I ask everyone, I don't know why I say that because it's 2 questions. I need to change my mental thing about what I say. And it has its own kind of section on YouTube. But actually, I think this is arguably the most valuable kind of bit. And it's to do with what's the best piece of advice you've ever had?
I've had a lot. I think to not stop learning is a big one. I've been really, really privileged to work with, and I don't want to name them, but some really senior business people. The people that run the big business in the Northeast, I probably know them, have spent some time with them, and they've always been very, very helpful to me. And if I ever need advice and I go to them, they've always got an hour. I think to not stop learning. Never think you're the finished article. Never think that your business is finished in terms of we've made it. I think that would be highly dangerous. So yeah, keep learning, keep striving, keep trying to be a better person, better business. And I think that would be my other bit of advice. Am I allowed to?
You're allowed as many as you want, Matt.
Can I swear? Do the shitty things, do the hard things. Like, don't duck out just because, actually, I always say to people, my strengths are not admin. Do I do admin? God, yeah. And I hate it, but I do it because I think it makes me a better, more rounded person. But I also believe in doing the hard things, getting stuck in and spending time on the shop floor with the guys and girls and seeing what our drivers' challenges are, as well as people see me as, he's the ambassador. I walk everywhere with Ferrero Rocher, if anyone's old enough to remember that gag. So yeah, do the hard things and keep learning, keep pushing.
No, cool. I completely agree. Because when I was doing the Bignell job, the thing that I actually enjoyed the most was working with the people on the shop floor. And it was you have the ability to, just through listening, to actually help improve their lives. When they come to work, it's obviously a big deal, but actually just making them feel part of a team and that kind of thing. And actually, when I left, one of the ladies, Jill, it was a grandmother that worked there, she sent me a really nice text message just thanking me for my time. And it was like, but that was the reason why I wanted to do the job. So even what I do now, I love working with different businesses and figuring out how you sell more and whatever. But actually, it's the personal relationships that you build with people inherently. And again, a big one, it's when you spot people's talent. So what you said at the start of the interview, when you spot young people and they might be a mouthy little shit, and I'm going to have to bleep out all of the thingies for YouTube. But anyway, but you get my point. But actually, you can tell that there's more going on and they've got potential when you can see that on people at different levels. And it's sometimes you just need a little push just to give people confidence, just to say, no. So then the other question I ask, which relates to this, is that if you were to give advice to your younger self, and it can be any age, time, background, whatever, what would it be?
I'd like to say be cheekier and do less and worry less. But I think I always say, I know you read a lot, don't you? You read an awful lot, and you often suggest books to me that I think, I haven't got time. I'd like to read more, but as a lifestyle at the moment, with some of the challenges we're going to come through with business and having a small child, it's not an excuse, but I don't have the time to sit and read a book. I really don't. I would love to read more. So that's probably my first one I would have done throughout life. Mm-hmm. Maybe I shouldn't have took up golf. I should have started reading. And to learn more, which is probably two of the same thing, because I think by reading more, you certainly educate yourself and you become a more rounded person. But I don't really have any regrets. I think everything's for a reason. Everything's a path and a journey that you've gone on to say, well, if I didn't do that and I wasn't so cheeky or I didn't make a mess of that, then I might not be where I am today. And I love where I am today and what I've achieved. And I'm not patting myself on the back, but I like to think that, my life's good, my family's good,
but the thing is,
things that matter to me.
It's when other people can see it. And it was only when I thought, because we had that particular time when you leave the first green and you're walking through the woods, and it was at that point when you were saying about what you were thinking about doing next. Yeah. And, fast forward a few years, you have done a lot of it. So I think it's, I won't flatter you too much, but anyway.
You don't need to. I have people around me that flatter me all day. they get paid to do it. I'm joking.
So before we kind of wrap up, is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to plug?
I mean, obviously people know where I work and people know what I do. I just love helping people, and I think there's probably plenty of people that on LinkedIn that I converse with fairly regularly, and I do genuinely love helping people, especially if time permitting, I can do it. But you know, people know I'm at LV, people know we move stuff. But the Valenbeck business is just a great, exciting, hugely challenging business that if anyone needs any bespoke boxes. And the other thing that I did want to mention, weirdly, I'd mentioned to my sister that I was going to be on this and had asked for something. She works at the hospital at James Cook, and very quickly, because I've got a lot to read, but I won't read it. She worked in the morgue for a period of time as a temporary job, and she's moved elsewhere now. But they have this thing called the Dragonfly scheme, and it's effectively comfort bags for people whose family are end of life. So you go and your wife's there, God forbid your children are there, or whatever. And it's just to give them a bag that might have soap in, a little
toothbrush.
Yeah, it's really, really small things. And you can either make donations, there's a Facebook page. But if you look for a Dragonfly scheme, and it's basically comfort bags. And it's very small, like the tube of toothpaste you take on holiday that you probably don't use, or the little bit of hair, whatever it might be, sanitary wise. And cleaning. So that would be great if anyone had the time to have a look at that and wanted to give or
can you send me the link and I'll add it to all of the stuff?
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, it's just one of the things that my father passed away just before Nancy was born, and then Catherine's cousin's wife passed away the same week. The week after, my mum had a heart attack, thankfully lived. My sister fractured her pelvis skiing in France, all within 2 weeks. And I think, although it didn't feel like at the time, that changed me as a person, like emotionally. I was like, do you know what? And I've always done stuff for charity. I've always given everything I can, help people out that are running their own charities and big people up. And this for me is just a lovely little, it's one of the things in life where you're at such a bad stage. So someone to give you something so little could mean so much. So if anyone wants to give or donate or put stuff together, that'd be great. So they can just hit me up and I'll send you the link.
Cool. No, I appreciate that. It's I understand how important it is, so I get that. Yeah. Well, it's been wonderful to catch up. Hopefully, at some point, are we allowed to play golf anymore? I don't know.
I've played 3 times this year, so I'm sure we can squeeze it in somewhere. Mate.
I haven't played golf in about 2 years, but I've always been terrible. So actually, it doesn't make much difference. We play for the enjoyment and the banter. That's
yeah, we're a bit of a chat as well. It's good to see you, mate.
But thank you for your time. Hopefully, when I've got Emily on in a few weeks' time, you can send us some questions. But again, she's got a great story to tell, and I really love.
Emily's fantastic. Works so hard, and I'm sure she'll tell you. But the kind of Bentley's coffee shop empire grows again this week, and she's done it through real challenging times. And again, a lot of respect and a lot of love for Emily. She's great.
Cool. Well, cheers, Matt. Thank you for your time, and I'm sure I will speak to you sometime. All right. Cheers. Bye bye.